our best to get our Marshall Plan in place and fashion out the best economic future for this country.
We had a very...
You need to watch this video. Watch it to the end. You can hear what this our brother is telling us, how Tinubu's government is going to be the same thing as Buhari's government. Because the committee that Tinubu went to form is the same people who worked with Buhari. He said, Obasanjo said, the one thing is to give someone advice. The another thing is for the person to use the advice. Make it not be like I talk too much. Watch this video to the end, and as you're watching it, make sure you share it. Now let's go there.
We had a very, very good meeting, and what we discussed is generally about the economy, food security, security of the nation. We discussed everything in detail, and I think there is the economic presidential advisory which has been set up, and I think this will look at all the issues and address them. Coming from job creation, coming from food security, coming from also reflating the economy. So all these things, they've been discussed in detail. I can't give you all the details right now, but we are hopeful, and we are a great nation. We have what it takes to turn around the economy, and we are going to do that.
I leave that meeting with a lot of enthusiasm, excitement, and optimism about the future of our country. I believe that implementing the decisions we arrived at today will help propel our economy and help alleviate the poverty in the land, help create employment, and help put food on the table.
Businessman Tony Elumelu there. Well, for more on this, I'm now being joined from our Lagos studio by Dr. Nemeka Buhari, who's a development economist and investment banker. Thank you so much, Doctor, for joining us. Now, are you convinced that President Tinubu actually has a very smart Marshall Plan, as he calls it, for this economic crisis? Because a lot of Nigerians were surprised to actually hear him mention that there's a Marshall Plan on ground when many people are unaware of it.
Sambo, thanks for having me. To fix Nigeria, we do not need any presidential advisory committee to do it. Recall, it seems as if what we have been doing over the last 9 years is rinse, repeat, rinse. Buhari did the same thing when he set up the same presidential advisory committee to advise him. And then the same set of people were part of those that were in Buhari's committee. And like President Obasanjo will say, it's one thing to advise him, and it's another thing for him to accept or reject your advice. We do not need any presidential advisory committee. This president appointed a Federal Executive Council, ministers, ACs, and head of MDS. Those are supposed to be the workforce, the bulwark, the team that should help him to accomplish his promises and manifesto to Nigerians. To fix the Nigerian economy is not a skyrocket science. It does not need committees of this and committees of that. We know the fundamental issues and challenges. Issues of corruption, issues of insecurity. These are the twin demons at the root of the current wars that we have in Nigeria. And these twin demons are the offsprings of the current fraudulent constitutional and physical framework that we have in Nigeria that encourages so much wealth without enterprise, instead of creative enterprise wealth making. We can easily fix this country. Nigeria ticks the right boxes to be a top 10 global economy within the next 8 years if we do the best things. And what are those best things? Tackle the corruption headlong, fix the insecurity, and put Nigerians back to productive activities like we used to have between 1960 to 1966. We don't need committees to do it. Before I came to your studio, I took a look at the numbers in 2022. I also looked at the numbers from other economies. You know, one of the arguments that we use to bandy is that we import so much and we produce nothing. And it is not actually true. If you look at our import volumes for 2022, compared to our GDP, it's about 12%. It is one of the lowest in the whole world. Singapore, less than Alimosho in land size, 5 million people, imported over $701 billion worth of goods into their economy. 153% of their GDP importation. They did not import for consumption. They imported things needed to grow their economy and they make it one of the top 4 economies in the whole world. What has been the problem with Nigeria is not that we are importing. What are we importing? If you look at the numbers, 2022, we imported $60 billion worth of goods and services. We exported only $57 billion. We had diaspora remittances in excess of over $15 billion. And other revenues that came in, even borrowings. Net, we should not be having Naira depreciating at the rate it is going today. What is driving it is corruption. What we expected this government to do, when you appointed ministers and the MDA heads, there should be targets, there should be key performance indicators, and you should show Nigerians what you need to do. I will give you examples. I looked at the import volumes in Nigeria and I discovered some shocking things. We imported $24 billion worth of mineral oil, refined petroleum products, and synthetics. We even imported $2.3 billion worth of plastics. We imported food, even fish. We imported $899 million worth of fish. These are things we can easily produce. We actually imported over 600,000 tons of palm oil. In a forward-thinking and a creative-thinking government will have sat down. Look at the 2022 numbers, where we have comparative advantage. Example, why should a Nigeria that controlled 45% of the global palm oil market in 1965 be importing palm oil when we have palm oil growing in the wild? We consume 2.4 million tons of palm oil per annum. We only produce 1.4 million tons based on the record by the U.S. Agri Department. How do we cover the 1 million tons domestic supply deficit and even increase it to about 3 million tons to enable us export like Malaysia, Indonesia? It's a no-brainer. A forward-thinking government should put in place, who is the agri minister, we don't even know, measures to cultivate incrementally over the next 3 years. We should be hearing from them is that, hey, we have seen this, there's a deficit that we need to cover. These and these and these are what we are putting in place to cultivate 400 to 500,000 hectares of new Tenera palm plantations across the palm belt of the southeast, south, and southwest and middle belt. We are putting in place these PPP measures to set in place 1,740 cottage factories that can do at least 10 tons or 20 tons of palm oil value chain, manufacturing and processing over the next 3-4 years to cover this. That is a government that we should be thinking about. You don't need a committee to do it. We need a committee where the Minister of Agriculture will be telling us, oh, we are coordinating. We consume 7.5 million tons of rice. We only produce 5